This is In the Zone with Ian Robb and Dancin Rodda. One's a mental toughness coach who also helps riders with recovery. The other, a horseman with soul, who is also a marriage counselor for the rider and horses. Together, they dive beyond ribbons and rankings to where real riders train, the mind. From elite arenas to quiet barns, this show is about the mental edge, the recovery rhythm, and the heart that keeps you in sync with your horse and yourself. So whether you're tuning in from the tack room or the open road, saddle up. You're in the zone now.
From the competitive horse world to injury, burnout, and the deep work of rebuilding, Francine Brown turned her own healing into a mission, helping riders recover their mindset, their movement, and their power. In this episode, Francine opens up about how to ride through fear and come back stronger, the mental traps she sees high performers fall into, and how to break free, what horses mirror back to us during recovery, the real meaning of alignment, physical, mental, and emotional, why BEMER is part of her everyday recovery toolkit. If you've ever been stuck, sidelined, or searching for what's next, this one's for you. Hit play and get back in the zone.
Hey, everybody. We just wanted to share a little bit more about our podcast. I'm Ian Robb, and I'm here with
Dancin Rodda.
And you guys are probably wondering, what is In the Zone with Ian Robb and Dancin Rodda? Well, I've been a professional tennis player and a coach. I was a coach, for almost 38 years, something like that. It seems like forever.
And you played tennis professionally.
Yes, I did. And I broke my body down, two hip replacement, shoulder, skin cancer. I get off the court. But what I now got involved a little bit more in the equine world. And I'm seeing these riders needing help with their mental toughness. And that was my strength in regards to being a tennis coach, because I worked with about 5 professional tennis players, 60 scholarship players. And I was asked by Equus Network TV to do a podcast. And I thought, that sounds like fun. What should be the theme? So I kind of had in my mind to ask Dancin Rodda to join me, but I wanted him to see if he would want to do it. So I asked him, I said, Pete, would you join? Who do you think would be good to do this with us?
I said, well, there's a couple people I'm thinking of, but myself would be the first one. And then Ian said, yep, that's what we want. So that's how it got started. And my background is I'm a teacher by heart. I've actually taught undergrad classes when I was an undergrad, and I actually helped out teaching at the vet school for the practical parts of it. So then I started doing horses when I got to college. It advanced, and then I eventually started doing my own thing for about 10, 15 years, found the Pirelli program, became an instructor, worked on the ranch and taught on the ranch for 3 years. And it was all about the mental, emotional parts of getting people ready for riding in the beginning world, the professional world, anything you're doing with a horse. And then I created my own complementary horsemanship, which is enhancing what you want to do with your horse. And it's all about, in my opinion, horsemanship starts with the emotional, mental, and physical part of the human way before it gets anything about the horse. So I use the horse as a catalyst to actually help people change who they are, or I should say not change, but enhance who they are to get better with their horse. So that's why when we came up with In the Zone, we had a couple different things. And I said, no, Ian, what we're doing is In the Zone. We're not going to talk about all these different things. We're talking about, how do you coach? What is it to get that student in the zone? So you might not be going to compete, but we want you to go in the zone, because a lot of my students don't compete and a lot of my students do. So I want to get them in the zone, whether they're competing or not.
And that's that focus, that relaxed state of mind that you're just not, as we say in the horse world, you're in the parasympathetic response. You're definitely relaxed. Your muscles are not tight. And it's kind of funny, Pete, because when I was coaching tennis, we always talked about being in the zone. When I worked at Nick Bollettieri's, we had Dr. Jim Larry talked about being in the zone. It's kind of a bullseye effect. And, one is being not even caring is the farthest that you want to be. And then second one is the anger response. Well, that's still a response, but it's not the positive response we're looking for. And then the third spot is you're choking. You want it so bad you're choking. And the bullseye of it is getting in the zone, getting in that focused mind and state and with your body and your thing. So,
and how I explain that is calm, connected, confident, communicating. That's what we're truly looking for with the horse, but we're also truly looking for that with the human. Can they stay calm in the heat of the battle, right? If you're playing tennis, that's the same thing, right? So if the horse isn't doing what you want, can you stay calm? Can you stay connected? Can you stay in the game? Then can you be confident while you're in that game? And then are you having a conversation, or are you just saying, do what I tell you and don't worry about what you think? So having that conversation is what I feel we're doing in the zone when we interview different people.
And we're asking them, how do they get in the zone? How do they work with their players or their trainers or their own ride? Because we're going to be interviewing a lot of different people. And so we wanted to take this opportunity to add that, because Pete, there must be like over 100 different equine podcasts out there. So we want to be different. We want to have some fun.
We don't want to just do horse training and that kind of stuff. What is it that a lot of them touch on, but they really don't go in depth? We want to get in the depth. What is it that makes that teacher, coach, whatever you want to call it, better for their students? What is it, that mental thing that they change, or is it a physical thing that they change, that they tell their riders they have to do these physical things to better mentally, emotionally, and physically get them in the zone?
In the zone. So listen, we did start off right out of the bat, before we were even ready, to have Dr. Joshua Burka talk to us about why BEMER is important for the horse and the human, and if it would be important for you guys to have. But now we're going to focus about being in the zone a little bit more. And the first person we're going to have is a friend of mine. She's out there in Colorado. She's got a big heart, and she's a sweet lady. And her name is Francine Brown. But we're going to take this segment here and have you guys learn more about her history and how she started. And then we're going to start the show. And if you do want to reach out to Francine, you could reach out to Francine at 191horse.com, or her website is www.191horse.com, and you can learn more about her. So I think we're ready, Pete. What do you think?
Let's get in the zone.
Let's get in zone.
Francine, before we get started, give us a little bit more about your background and how you become who you are now.
Well, that's quite a long story, so I'll shorten it. I'll try to get it as short as I can. So I grew up on a ranch in western Colorado, little ranch kid. Couldn't wait to get off the ranch, so I got married and went to work in the coal mine at 17 years old. So that's one way to jump ship. But I've done a lot of things in life. The one thing I figured out being a mom early in life is I was a single parent. I needed to figure out how to keep the kids close to the ranch in 4-H and have horses. And so whatever it took. So it meant UPS, working at mines, doing all sorts of crazy things. But later in life, when they were teenagers, I got into working for a horse clinician, and it opened up what I really wanted to do, which was work with horses, stay in the horses, all that kind of stuff. And so that took different avenues. I started breeding. Growing up on a ranch, we raised draft horses. That was a lot of my horse background, was draft horses, and then riding everything that was unbroke. I was actually scared of horses for years. But I started showing, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I loved the game of competition. And so I met my late husband, and he's actually like, hey, I've been single for 30 years and you've been single for 15. And so I think I should buy you horses and a pickup and a trailer, and you find a trainer as far away as possible so we can get along. And that literally is how my show career started. And that first year I zeroed every class. I mean, I had a lot of things to work out, but I had a short run, which I think it was 12 years total, and ended up with national titles and very nice horses, a lot of championships. But the one thing I think I got out of everything is competition makes you bitter or better. And I saw both sides of it. And I wanted to emulate the people that were better. And now kind of that chapter of my life is over, and I want to help others be better.
And what disciplines have you showed in, and what discipline do you show now?
Okay, so I started in all around, and I had some health stuff to get over, and I had a brain injury. So literally memorizing a pattern was such a challenge for me. So I learned how to do strategizing, and loping was too fast. I didn't know where I was in space. And so I started really slow, Western pleasure. Not that I didn't ride on the ranch, but as far as competition, so I could process. And I had a great mare. Oh my gosh, huge gift. And then we owned some open cow horses. And that's ultimately where I wanted to end up. But I wasn't sure I could get there. But I have no quitting sense. And so I think I did all around 2 or 3 years. And then I decided I'm going to jump all in and go. And then I had another health setback in 2016. And most people it would knock out. So I revamped and went into ranch versatility. And then I started learning from the best. I went to a breakaway rope clinic so I could drag a log. But hey, why not learn from the best? But I needed to get my technique down. And the mare I had was really quick. And I got tangled the first show. And luckily it was on the offside of the judges and they didn't see it. But this is how, you learn and you figure out what you need. So I went, got handy with that rope, and then my national championships just started rolling in. And I guess there's my story. So now life has changed. I lost my husband. I'm regrouping in life, and I've started judging. I threw away my non-pro card, started judging a little bit. I'm probably going to get carded, and then helping these other people. But it started with the 4-H kids, and my heart is with kids, but in reality, there's so many people like me that need me to encourage them. And so really, there's my story.
Great. Is there anything else that's new in your life there, Ms. Francine?
There's so many things new in my life. When you recreate, it's all new. We're going to save that topic for a different show. How's that?
All righty. I gave you a chance. Okay.
So what's your philosophy on yelling versus encouraging as a trainer?
Everybody learns so much better when someone's screaming right over you and has their finger in your chest. I mean, that works for me. Doesn't it work for you? Like a horse. They love it. And it's funny, the people that they think that's what they need. And maybe there are people that learn like that, but the majority of people do not learn that way. Kids, adults, anybody, horses, dogs. I mean, you can't take that approach with a timid dog.
I always say, I don't know why you're yelling at me because I'm yelling way louder in my mind, so I don't need your help.
Right.
Because I'm yelling at myself. Why'd you do that? Or I don't understand, so you yelling isn't making it clearer.
Correct. You know what's funny? One of the things that I don't know if I've reached this in maturity, but I don't get angry anymore. I actually cry before I get angry anymore. So the yelling thing isn't even on my MO, and that's probably why that crying topic, it's changed how I look at that. Because where I grew up, I mean, we had no boys in our family, and we weren't allowed to cry. So I didn't till I was 30. So anyway, there's that.
I think we got to start now with the questions.
If you're serious about your horse's health, whether you're riding dressage, show jumping, Western, or racing thoroughbreds, there are 2 names you need to remember. BEMER, an independent BEMER representative, Ian Robb. Trusted by high performers at every level, BEMER delivers more than a cutting-edge product. They bring a commitment to education, support, and real results. BEMER's equine line is scientifically designed to improve microcirculation, reduce muscular back pain, and promote faster recovery after exercise or injury. But this isn't a magic button, it's a system. And Ian Robb can make sure you get the most out of BEMER, and support doesn't stop after the sale. He offers personalized coaching, ongoing mentorship, and a true partnership in your horse's wellness journey. Real results need real support. Based at the World Equestrian Center in Ocala, Florida, Ian Robb is your go-to expert for BEMER's proven technology for both horse and human. Here's how to make it work for you. Call independent BEMER representative Ian Robb today, or scan the QR code on your screen to learn more. If it's horse health, it's BEMER.
Welcome back to In the Zone, the podcast where we explore what it really takes to perform, recover, and thrive, both in the saddle and in life. I'm Ian Robb.
And I'm Dancin Rodda. And today we are diving deep in with someone who embodies the comeback spirit like few others we know.
Francine Brown isn't just a performance coach, she's a true warrior of recovery. With roots in the competitive horses, world and a story that includes injury, setback, and an incredible rise. Francine has transformed her pain into purpose.
She's built a unique, holistic approach to coaching that combines equestrian sports psychology, BEMER therapy, and serious soul-level mentorship. She's worked with everyone from elite riders to everyday horse owners who are ready to reclaim their strength, mentality, physicality, and emotionality.
Whether you're a competitive rider, a coach, or someone just navigating life's curveballs, Francine's message is going to hit home.
We talk recovery belief system, fear, courage, and how to tune back into the power that's already inside you. No fluff, no hype, and real stories.
So saddle up. This one's personal. Hello, Francine.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be with both of you today.
You're known for being a comeback story in motion. Can you take us back to the moment where you had to choose between quitting and rebuilding?
Wow, right out of the gate, you smacked me with the time I was ready to
We're in the
quit.
zone.
That's awesome. Actually, I do know, and this story, I think about this quite a bit because I was on I-70 driving back Mother's Day weekend in 2011. I mean, I got it down. I know where I was. I know when it was. And I was in the middle of nowhere, and this dream horse of mine basically got flunked. And I had another one in the pipeline, and I was scared of him, and I had to get on him and show him instead. So it was a wreck that weekend because my dream was crushed. The new horse kicked out, almost started bucking. I got penalties. I got all these things. And I am just like, how am I going to feel if I stop? Do I have the guts to quit? And I realized that weekend, that point, that mile marker on I-70, I didn't have the guts to quit, and I had no quitting sense. So no matter how ugly it was from there on, I had to go. And it was ugly. It was ugly for about a year, but it's okay. Yes, I know exactly where it was, but I knew I had to get my act together. And that's where the mental skills started coming in. So yeah, that's a tough question, but a good one.
You coach riders of high performance, and of course, they have lots of mental roadblocks. What's the common lie that you deal with to help these riders get back into it?
Well, there's so many things we tell ourselves. I think one of the main ones that I personally had and many others, I'm not ready. No matter how much they practice, how much, they're just not ready to walk into that show pen. And you have to start somewhere. And getting that person to that starting point is probably one of the hardest things. And then once it's behind you, you can build from there. So I think that's one of the hardest ones.
And to go on that question, the same question, don't you believe even the beginners have the same problems? Because I deal with the beginners that think, oh, I'm not good enough. And then they don't believe the professionals think the same way.
Absolutely. And there's a million reasons why they think they're not. Their horses are ready. They aren't ready, whatever. But I think it comes down to, it doesn't matter what level you are. Walking in that show pen, you got to have it together.
Francine, what does being in the zone feel like to you? Not just in the saddle, but in life or coaching?
Actually, that's one of the biggest highs of my life. I love this. The calm, the focus, the confidence, and I'm ready. My horse is ready. When maybe we're not, but I'm not going to tell myself that we're not, because the cow I love in cow horse, I don't know whether he's ready or not. So I love pretending, but pretty soon it's like, we're as ready as we're going to be. We're never going to be readier today. So right there, I love being in the zone.
You talk a lot about alignment, mental, emotional, and physical. How do you know when something's off, and what's your first move to correct that course?
Well, every time you do any of this, something's always off. So you kind of got to go, not kind of, you have to go back to your plan. What do I have control of? What's out of my control? You can always go back to that basic, and it's just like a horse. Something can be off about them. You just got to go back to the basics. And if you're in the show pen, You got to roll with it. If you're in the practice pen, you can roll back and fix it. It's the same with the horse as it is the person.
You blend equestrian psychology with wellness and BEMER therapy. What's the magic in that mix, Francine? Does it shift a rider's recovery and mindset?
Oh my gosh, it is the magic. And I wish I would have had it most of my show career. The one thing that I think BEMER does is you don't have to think about getting in the zone as hard. It's not as much work. It comes easier. And then, say you have a rough ride out there physically or whatever, especially if you have a multi-day show, I am not as sore, and you can just get right back into it where you left off. I don't know how people do it without it, now that I know the difference. Let's put it that way.
Being a professional like I am, burnout happens a lot. I'm actually in the midst of it because we had a filming at the farm and I had to do all this stuff. I was mowing till 12 midnight. How do you help your students with burnout?
Well, it's very common. The main thing is first asking for help. And that is not part of our DNA, not asking for help. But I think once you realize it and you do ask for help, and it may not be the perfect help, but that is the start of how to rebuild, is just going, okay, my perfection doesn't have to be so perfect today because I can't do this by myself. So I think that's number one.
That's good. That's pretty good. I think that was really good, Francine. You're on a roll right now, Francine. So let's just get down to the basics. Let's talk BEMER for a second. How has it played a role in your own recovery, and how do you integrate it into your client work in a way that sticks?
Well, I'm like every other horse person. Seeing is believing, and you see it in the horse first, always. And then you start going, oh, maybe I should try this for myself. And then you realize at some point in time what non-heads we are, and we should have started with us and our horse. They teach us, of course, so we are partners, and the horse always starts it seems like. With my recovery, that's a whole crazy story, but I can tell you all my show career versus the couple times I have showed with BEMER, night and day difference. I didn't even know you were supposed to be nervous. And that's I came out of the pen and they're like, weren't you nervous? You didn't look like it. And I was like, oh, I forgot. It's a good thing to forget.
Yeah, definitely.
True story.
So when I teach, I have a thing that says, is your horse your mirror, your magnifying glass, your telescope, your microscope, or your kaleidoscope? You have a similar thing with your horse is your mirror. So tell us a time where your horse showed you that it was reflecting back at you.
Well, this is a great story, and I tell this when I do clinics because it did not occur to me until later, and now I have a photograph with proof. But it started as a Denver National Western Stock Show. My very first, because I started in all around, and my very first showmanship class, and I have a new outfit, and it looks awesome, and I'm nervous, but my horse is dialed in, and we've been practicing. And so I'm standing here and I'm practicing my mental skills, and they're all in, everything's fine until I turn around and realize the horse in front of me leaves. And they're like, they scratch. Come on. I'm chomping on gum, right? So I go, whoo. Well, it gets stuck and they're waving me on. So I'm like going through the showmanship pattern and I'm doing pretty good, except I'm choking. And then the judge starts asking me questions and I'm going, I could not talk. I come out, my trainer's like, what happened? And I started coughing, choked up the gum, started chewing it and told her what happened. But I did not realize what a mirror that was until the photo came, the professional photo. And my eyes were this big and my horse's eyes were this big. And that's when I knew that is proof that I cannot deny. That horse does mirror you.
There you go.
So that was the first one.
That is. No, that's a great story, Francine. Next question for you. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. When someone's physically back in the saddle, but not mentally, how do you help them find the courage to ride forward again?
Well, I may have a different approach to this, but get back off your horse and start grooming. Start over, because it's not fair to your horse, especially if you have a really good connection and you're off. It's just not fair. But you get back on the ground, they're not absorbing so much of you. You can start grooming. It's just like a horse that gets off track. You can get and things build up and things aren't great. Go back to basics. Go back to what feels good and build back up. And I think that just across the board, you're having a bad day. They say leave your emotions out of the barn. Well, if you can't, go in and clean stalls. And if the barn is the therapy you need, don't bring that onto your horse. That's how I do it.
So if you were going to give someone advice on mindset, what would be the first thing to change their mindset? So what would you help them with to change that mindset?
Well, the one thing that, whether they're on or off the horse, if you're having fun, there is a certain amount of high positive energy. And so whether you're on the ground, on your horse or whatever, why are you doing this? If it's not fun and it's a grind, go buy a boat and get out on the lake. I mean, have fun in life. Life is too short. So that is the one thing that I want to be around fun people. I want to be around upbeat people. And that, I think, is one of the first mindset shifts that people need. And it's hard going slow. What's that?
You mean horses are supposed to be fun?
Well, isn't it fun, like stacking hay above your head up on the, like, where they put those hay racks? I mean, it better be fun, right?
No.
Okay. Number 11 question. Are you ready? If someone's listening right now, feeling stuck in their story, what would you say to them to help them take their first bold step back towards themselves?
Well, this can be a process, and it depends where they're stuck. I mean, are they stuck for the day? Are they stuck because of life circumstances? I mean, there's a lot of variables there, but again, they got to start over in their heart of hearts. Why are they doing what they're doing? Go back to your why. I think that is a very good thing across life, whether it's horse, whether you're going through something, why are you doing what you're doing? And I've been there. I've been stuck in my story, and I became a hermit because, shoot, I wasn't fit to be around. And so that was probably safe for everybody, and including my horses. They did get groomed a lot, though, just so you know. So, but I think that's a good place to start.
That's good. That's good. Francine doesn't know this, Pete, but we got some more questions for you. We're going to double down right now. You ready?
I'm ready.
Moving into the next realm of in the zone.
It's like getting a second cow.
There you go. If your younger self could see you now, what would you say? What would she say? And would she even believe it?
Well, she'd say you sure picked some hard roads to get here. Not everybody can relate to this. I belong to a lot of clubs that nobody signs up for, and a lot of people don't make it out of them. And, I'd said this before, and then I had a whole bunch of other things happen. And I went back to this recording that I did, and there are gems of gold in every step back in life, no matter what it is. And wow, I think my younger self would have probably jumped off that cliff a long time ago. However, the gems in life, man, I think you get to the point where you have something to share because you've been there, and then people need to know that they're not alone. And so I know that got really serious, but it doesn't matter whether if we had a crystal ball, most of us wouldn't choose to be 80. Let's put it that way. I was one of them. I was 9 years old, said, I don't want to live till I'm 90. Well, I don't know whether I will or not, but I'm glad I'm here now. Let's put it that way.
Well, you got at least 50 years, so you're good.
Yeah, right there. You got it.
So when I explain horsemanship, I always explain it with a 12 rung ladder. And I always say, we only know 4 rungs. So there's 8 rungs that we have no clue about. And some people call it the woo woo or the things that we go, oh, you're one of those. So what's your biggest woo woo that our listeners would like to hear about that you believe in that somebody else might go, oh, that's not real?
Oh boy, we're in that. Go ahead, Francine.
Oh yeah, where to start with the woo-woo stuff. Especially in the cow horse and the ranch versatility stuff. I think this actually magnifies it, but our energy, our horse's energy, everything that we project out there projects onto that cow. And when you explain that from the get-go, it doesn't make sense, but you know it when somebody's energy fills the room, right? The energy thing, no kidding.
That's true. No.
But energy is one of those things that people go, woo. And yet if you use that, that's your power. That energy is your power. I recently found another one, mushroom coffee. Who knew? Way better on your stomach and the new energy blast. So we never quit learning. It's one of the rungs on the ladder, just so you know.
Absolutely. I use that mushroom coffee though too. I think that's pretty amazing.
I
wish
love it.
I could use this Yeti microphone. I don't know how to use it. But we're doing the best we can. So speaking about microphones or a megaphone, if you were handed a megaphone to speak to every rider who's stuck in fear, what are the first 5 words you shout?
Stop it. Just stop it. I don't know if you know where that comes from, but Bob Newhart had a show, and you can look it up on YouTube. And every time, seriously, that I get to a point where I'm going down a bad road, or my partner, he'll send it to me. Doesn't want to hear details. But, her fear is, have you ever been buried in a box and blah, blah, blah. And he just yelled at her, stop it, just stop it. And I think sometimes we have to use that humor to actually center ourselves and start again. So there again, have fun with it. Fun brings us out of fear.
So I'm doing a vitamin D supplement every morning. And the latest thing, it's vitamin D and all this. What wellness trend would you like to go away? Like you wish was not around?
Oh gosh. I probably tried everything because in my life, everything's hurt. So I have tried everything from crystals to celery juice to, the vitamin C things. I try it all because I think there's probably a gem in all of them. And some of them are, I'm never doing this again. Acupuncture is kind of one of those. So, I research all the time, but psychedelic mushrooms, here I'm talking about mushroom coffee, but what is the point? Just do the work. It takes time. Just do the work. I guess that is I don't know anybody that's ever made it back in the saddle from that. Let's just
He's a pretty good coach, man.
There you
Do
go.
your work.
So I'm taking the next question from Ian because I actually use a lot of music in my teaching, or I used to until the cloud took it away when I was in an isolated place. So when they get their spark back, your students, what song would be playing for that spark back?
That's easy. How do you like me now? Toby Keith. Woo-hoo.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. She nailed it like
Like
quick.
that.
Didn't even have to think about that one. All right, Francine.
Music's powerful. I mean, it just is. You should be using it. So good for you.
Absolutely. Get you in that zone. Okay, Francine, you're a barn. Someone's crying in their tack room. What do you say? What do you not say, but wish more people would?
Well, I'm not good at not saying. So I'm going to say, you know what? I would go in there and ask him, how can I help? I mean, maybe that's an impasse in me. I don't know what it is, but I'm just going to say it. And then I'm going to be prepared to listen because you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know whether they just got a phone call, whether, their pants are too tight. You don't know. And somebody listening is going to help the situation, even if you can't fix it. So I'm going to say it.
So on that, I have a lot of students that do cry, and it used to be the joke that I'm going to have you get some tissues by the time we're done, because I usually open it up and let them see themselves. Are you a component of leave the person alone until they're done crying, or are you a comforter, go over there and, give them a hug while they're crying and let them cry it out with you? And why do you do that? On which one?
Wow, that's a great question because everybody's different. Some people want to be left alone. Read the room. I think that's the biggest thing is read the room. Some people want that. Some people don't. And I actually have had, quite a bit of experience in this. And I asked them if it looks like I should ask them. And then, most people just need to be heard. And that at the bottom line, you can't split apart this mind, body, emotion thing. And if someone's bringing up tears, well, what's bringing them up? I mean, this is part of the deal. And being a horse trainer, whether you like it or not, it isn't about which bit to use. It's more about how to deal with the people you're dealing with. And this is just right in there. This is part of your tool.
The PhD in psychology.
Yeah. Well, and the Kleenexes, you need to have different kinds. Just
different. Okay, what's more challenging? Healing your body or getting that inner thought pattern to leave?
Well, they go together. I mean, if you're not healing, you better look at that inner voice. And so I talk to myself a lot and cuss it a lot. And that's kind of probably my deal. But I'm like, okay, I can't heal until my inner voice starts being kind to me. And I'm sure that's true with everybody else too. They go together.
Will you repeat that for the listeners? Because I think that's very powerful.
Which part?
About until your inner voice is saying the right things, how you said it.
Okay, so our bodies can't heal until our inner voice is nice to it and nurtures it. We're our biggest critic, but we're also our biggest cheerleader. And if we flip that around, if the world, the culture would say, I'm my biggest cheerleader, what am I going to say to myself today? Wouldn't that be a way different world? And then, our body, ourselves, the light, everything there again, the energy from the light. But it all goes together. We can't heal ourselves until we heal our inner critic. They go together.
I think that goes with the horses also. If you don't have a horse that's relaxed and being confident, it's very hard to get them to do anything that remotely is going to be towards what you like.
Absolutely. And everything you learn with people transfers to the horse, and everything, it goes back and forth. Quick example. The other day, my mare's out there squealing. Who does she take it out on? The alpha gelding. She is screaming. I don't know. She's never done this before. I've had her for years, all this stuff. I mean, she's having, I don't know what's going on. But at the end of the day, who does she take it out on? The horse she's closest to. That is so human, but it happens in nature too. And she just taught me that, reaffirmed that I need to knock some things off.
And then I love what you said there, because it's a religious, and I can't remember which religion said it, but I remember it was really powerful, was when the Industrial Revolution happened, God said, horse, you have no purpose now, because now they don't need you. So you have to have 2 weeks to come up with a purpose. And so the horse left, came back 2 weeks later, and came up to God and says, I figured out my purpose. And God says, okay, if it's good enough, I'll keep you on the earth. And the horse said, I'm here to help humans be better humans.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying.
Absolutely. And you know what? That happened before the Industrial Revolution too. We just weren't listening.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Francine, if you could only keep one of your recovery tools for the rest of your life, BEMER, journaling, cold showers, essential oils, etc., what stays and what goes?
Don't even say BEMER.
Oh, it has to be BEMER.
No, goes, right?
It has to be BEMER because essential oils do not work in your car, okay? At least BEMER will bring you to a state of, okay, I need oil in my car. I should go get it rather than pour the essential oils in and think you can make it through. So anyway, sir, I do say this all the time. If I could not have any of the tools that I have, which I have a lot of great tools for my horse program, but the BEMER changed it. to the point where it changed my life and my purpose in life, really. So it has to be BEMER.
So I teach a lot about boundaries, and I think it's very essential in the horse community that so many people have the lack of boundaries. What has boundaries or lack of boundaries taught you in your career?
So I like a horse that minds, but I show showmanship and and halter. And I'm telling you, if you don't, you should, because you learn real quick where your boundaries are with that horse. And my horses and my dogs, they know I'm the alpha. And I am not that way with people necessarily.
Oh,
But there was a time, actually, my animals taught me about boundaries. Absolutely. That was a lot of who I am today, I want to say, came from the horse. And a lot of that transition has happened in the last 20 years. And that's a true story.
All right, Francine, this is the last question we're going to ask you. Okay.
or maybe not.
Or maybe we can't make up our mind. Fill in the blank. Being in the zone isn't about being perfect. It's about being what?
Focused.
Focused.
Focus.
I don't know. You tell me that all the time. Stay
Oh yeah, Ian.
Jeez Louise. Okay. You guys talk to each other a little bit beforehand? I mean, you guys are right there, man. Right
Well,
there.
this is what I always tell people is mastery has the same line. So you can come from horsemanship, golf, car mechanic, whatever it is. We all talk about the same thing when we get to mastery, and even different disciplines. So your background versus my background, we're still when we get to mastery and whatever we do, hopefully we're still talking about the same things.
Absolutely.
Francine, you're done. This was a delight. It was a pleasure to have you on our
In the Zone
podcast.
And hey, let's all stay in the zone, get in the zone, have fun in the zone. I love this. So thank you so much for having me today. And it's been an absolute pleasure on my part too.
Well,
Thank
hopefully you'll come back to the zone and we'll give you some more questions.
I have so many things to share. Just whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Very good.
Well, we want to hear your wins, your success stories in your training and coaching. So we'll get you back here shortly. So
Okay.
Thank you for doing this. Thank you very much. And thank you for listening and being in the zone. Ian Robb.
And Dancin Pete Rodda.